Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Voices of Change. My name is Janae, and I'll be your host this evening.
My name is Shamel, and I'm the co-host.
The co-host with the most. How you like this weather? It's a little better than yesterday, or are we getting used to it?
No, it's gonna go away so quick, and then it's time for fall. I love the fall weather. That's probably my favorite
Fall is my
time of the year.
The problem with fall, it's my favorite too, but you know what's coming behind it.
That's okay. I'll take the sweater weather, and I get to
Yeah,
wear
the
my
boots and the leather.
exactly. I get to
Yeah.
wear my cute boots
Yeah,
for this limited amount of time.
yeah, that's true. I'm about ready for summer to be over.
Hmm.
For today's show, we're going to have a robust news you can use, and we all know there's so much news going on. The Real Talk segment, we're going to discuss cheating, and is cheating the new normal? Is it happening so often that it's accepted? Also, I'm excited because I am going to introduce a new CD by Grammy Award-winning guitarist, songwriter, recording artist, producer, and educator, Chicago's own Isaiah Sharkey. I always start my show off with a scripture for today. It's going to be from Ephesians chapter 1, verses 18 through 19, and it goes, I pray that the eyes of your heart may be enlightened in order that you may know the hope to which he has called you, the riches of his glorious inheritance in his holy people, and his incomparable great power for us who believe. The theme throughout that is believing. And we're going to have a quick break and return with the News You Can Use segment. And before that, we're going to play the first song from Isaiah Sharkey's new CD. Ironically, it's called, with the theme, it's called Believe. We got some things we gotta do to try to rid depression from me and you. I don't know why it's been this way. We got to fix it up before it's too late. We've been playing as some fools with nothing to hold on to. We've been mixed up in morning confusion. But keep on pushing, keep on moving on. We got to see to end up the truth. It's all a lie. We got to believe. We've been faced with big mountains that always seem too high. We're gonna walk a little higher till we reach our crown. We will make it together, fathers and mothers, brothers and sisters too. If we're brave enough to love and stand up, we can live some too. We've been playing as some fools with nothing to hold on to. We've been mixed up in morning confusion, but keep on pushing, keep on moving. Yeah, we got to see to end up the truth. It's all a lie. We got to believe. We just all got to see to end up the truth. It's all a lie. And that was Isaiah Sharkey, and that title track is called Believe. And I can kind of hear the influence of Curtis Mayfield. You know who?
Yes,
Don't you
I
kind of
do.
hear that?
And
His voice?
they were just doing a battle of him on the radio on B103.
I know, and I
Curtis
heard it
Mayfield.
when I was coming in, and then
Mhm.
when I thought about that, I'm like, it kind of has something about it.
It
Kinda,
does. Old school feeling.
yeah, but he has on the CD. I don't know, it's a lot of tracks on there, but there's kind of all different kinds. He's actually he's a guitarist. When I first met him, when he was about 19, he played the guitar. I mean, he phenomenal. I didn't know he had vocals like that,
Wow.
so that was a real surprise. Welcome back to all those who have tuned in. You're listening to the Voices of Change only on Intellectual Radio and iHeart Station, and this segment is News You Can Use. 45 has rescinded Stephen Curry's invitation to the White House, even though the NBA superstar already said he did not want to visit. At a press conference on Friday, the Golden State Warriors point guard said he would be against his team attending a meet and greet with the president. That is thought to be what prompted Trump's outburst. Trump said going to the White House is considered a great honor for championship teams. Further said, Stephen Curry is hesitating, therefore the invitation is withdrawn. A friend of mine and a past guest of Voices of Change, Dr. Leah Gunning Francis, added, the President of the United States stood behind a podium to which the presidential seal was affixed and called Black athletes who kneel during the national anthem SOBs. Meanwhile, the torch-bearing white supremacists that marched on UVA's campus were merely protesters. Again, I ask, why do we continue to hold our children to a higher standard than the president? If our children stood before their classes and called a classmate a SOB, they would immediately be suspended or worse. Why do we continue to tolerate this insanity? We can do something about this, you know. Dr. Francis, I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to have you back on the show, and we're going to talk about some of the things that we can do about this.
The Baltimore Ravens, Terrell Suggs, and Ray Lewis lent their star power to the ongoing national anthem protests, as most NFL players and coaches either kneeled or locked arms in London on Sunday ahead of the game between Baltimore Ravens and Jacksonville Jaguars. Ahead games, players from several teams, including the Cleveland Browns, the Denver Broncos, and Miami Dolphins, also took knees during the anthem. With the exception of one player, the Pittsburgh Steelers did not even take the field until the anthem was over. Their protest came as President Donald Trump renewed his criticism of athletes taking a knee during the national anthem. In Sunday morning tweets, he slammed the league's ratings and players should be fired or suspended for such protests. If NFL fans refuse to go to games until players stop disrespecting our flag and country, you will see a change take place fast. Fire or suspend, he tweeted early Sunday.
You know, that's really interesting because by him putting that out there and tweeting that, he's kind of telling his constituents, many that has deep pockets, to shut the NFL down, to tame those boys. He is. Another fatal police shooting has added ammunition to the national debate over whether police are too quick to use deadly force. This time it happened on the campus of Georgia Tech in Atlanta, where Scott Schultz, 21 years old, a fourth-year computer engineering major, was shot and killed Sunday after campus police responded to a 911 call about a suspicious person with a knife. The student's death has sparked new questions about controversial police encounters, which have seemingly escalated in recent years with such high-profile fatal shootings as those of Michael Brown in Ferguson, Missouri, Laquan McDonald in Chicago, and Philando Castile in suburban Minneapolis.
Sad.
In
his United Nations General Assembly debut, Trump applied his disruptive persona that shadowed U.S. political norms and signaled an attempt to transform America's role in the world and the international system itself. We must work together and confront together those who threaten us with chaos, turmoil, or terror, Trump said in a survey of global geopolitics that paralleled his stark inaugural address 8 months ago. His speech was laced with authoritarianism and punctuated with threats. None of his predecessors, for instance, stood in the well of the UN chamber and threatened to wipe a country, in this case North Korea, off the face of the planet. It was the axis of evil on steroids as the president blasted rogue states and trumped George W. Bush era rhetoric to put Pyongyang, Iran, Venezuela, and Cuba on notice.
In response, North Korea has raised a terrifying specter of a hydrogen bomb being detonated in the Pacific Ocean as Kim Jong-un made an unprecedented personal statement in which he lambasted Donald Trump as a mentally deranged dotard. The U.S. president fired back, calling the North Korean leader a madman, as tensions escalated to a frightening new level, with Japan bracing for a nuclear armed missile flying over its territory. Analysts view with dread the prospect of such a missile exploding accidentally over the close U.S. ally, a scenario which would likely lead to a nuclear conflict in Northeast Asia. The latest war of words was initiated in response to Trump's UN speech, indicating he would destroy North Korea, calling the leader Rocket Man.
A magnitude 7.1 earthquake struck the central Mexican state of Puebla on Tuesday afternoon, leveling buildings as far away as the capital, about 75 miles away. There were no immediate reports of injuries. Preliminary reports put the epicenter 2.8 miles east-northeast of San Juan Raboso and 3.1 miles south-southwest of the city of Puebla, according to the Geological Survey. Pictures on social media and witness accounts confirmed the quake collapsed buildings.
Yeah, it was horrific. First they said it was, I forgot how many people. Now I think it's close to 300. They're still, I guess, I don't know if they're looking for people.
Still searching.
Horrific. Bernie Casey, a professional football player turned actor known for parts in Revenge of the Nerds and I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker, has died. Casey died Tuesday in Los Angeles after a brief illness. He was 78. Born in West Virginia in 1939 and raised in Columbus, Ohio, Casey excelled in football and attended Bowling Green State University on an athletic scholarship. He went on to play for the San Francisco 49ers and Los Angeles Rams before going back to his alma mater to get a master's degree in fine arts. Casey's acting career began with the Guns of the Magnificent Seven in 1969. He appeared in some 35 films, including Boxcar Bertha and The Man Who Fell to Earth. Hicks, now 68, agreed to be transferred. That must be the wrong story. And that is it for Bernie Casey. We're going to be sad. We're sad about his demise. And I remember I'm Going to Get You, Sucker. And I remember him. You've probably seen clips of it on Facebook. Him with that leather suit. He had like leather pants on, leather. You didn't see?
No.
He looked good. He looked really nice. It was his confidence. Looked really nice.
A white Iowa teenager sexually assaulted a 2-year-old black toddler and live streamed the attack has not received a prison sentence. Craig Grooms pleaded guilty to raping a girl between 1 and 2 years old in April of 2013. A second man recorded the abuse and posted it on the internet. Mr. Grooms, who is now 19, received a 10-year suspended sentence and 5 years of supervised release. He will be registered as a sex offender for the rest of his life and could be ordered to spend 10 years of prison if he violates his release conditions. Investigators said the assault was premeditated and Mr. Grooms had been planning a similar attack on a 3-year-old boy before he was caught. Mr. Grooms was 16 when he raped a toddler, but was tried as an adult and still got off with a slap of the wrist. The evidence of the rape was discovered by Homeland Security officers as a part of an international child pornography investigation. A video recording of the sexual abuse was found on the computer in Ireland. Take the case of Bernard Noble, a 49-year-old black father of 7. Noble is serving more than 13 years behind bars in Jackson Parish Correctional Center in Jonesboro. His crime being caught with an equivalent of 2 joints worth of marijuana in 2010. He has no chance of parole. The State Board of Pardons and Parole rejected Noble's petition for clemency in May simply because he hasn't served 10 or more years in prison yet. State law requires inmates to have been in custody of the Department of Correction for a minimum of 10 years before they're considered an inmate's application for clemency. So a young white man gets off for filming the rape of a 2-year-old with plans to rape a 3-year-old, and a black father of 7 gets 13 years for marijuana.
For having 2 joints. 2 joints.
Equivalent.
2.
That's not even a 10 to sell. Because you can't even.
And he can't even get out.
No, he doesn't even get a chance to have clemency until he serves 10 years of that. And that happened in 2010. So yeah, still 2020. 3 more years. Yep.
This happened today. A shooter opened fire, and the shooter was a black 26-year-old.
I didn't even see who.
Yeah,
Oh,
I was surprised because the church looked as if anyway, a shooter opened fire in a Nashville area church Sunday morning and what officials call a mass casualty situation that left multiple people wounded and one person reportedly dead. 8 people were injured, including the suspected shooter, after someone started blasting inside the Burnett Chapel Church of Christ before noon Sunday. This is a mass casualty situation. All of the wounded have been transported to area hospitals. The majority of them were older adults. All but one of the victims is over the age of 60, and all have been taken to the Vanderbilt Medical Center. The extent of their injuries at this point, it may be known now. I didn't check in the past hour, but at this point, they were unknown. I think there were a couple that were critical, though. Another one going in a church and just
I
shooting.
don't. All you can do is pray at that point.
Yeah, you're right.
During a press conference on Wednesday, the woman at the center of the Kevin Hart sex scandal claimed that she was a victim of and not an extortionist. I am not an extortionist. I had nothing to do with these recordings, actress Motina said during the press conference as she stood alongside her lawyer, Lisa Bloom. Bloom said that Motina had been recorded in Hart's Las Vegas hotel room about a month ago and had since been the victim of multiple felonies. It is a crime to secretly put cameras in a private place like a hotel room, Bloom said. It is another crime to secretly record people in a private place. It is yet another crime to distribute those images. Motina is the victim of multiple felonies under the state and federal laws. Bloom also directly addressed Hart, asking for his cooperation and help during the investigation. We invite Mr. Hart to join us in bringing the perpetrator to justice. To the criminal who did this, I say you belong in prison and we are going to find you. She also made it clear that she and Motina were not seeking any money from Hart himself. Motina and I am not asking for a cent from Kevin Hart. This is not about money, Bloom said. We are not suing him. We are not making any claims against him. Kevin Hart appears to be the victim of this criminal, just as Motina is a victim of this criminal. And that's the news you can use only.
I don't know about that story. That story,
It's
you engage a lawyer, a high-profile lawyer. Her fees are going to have to be paid, but yet and I mean, she's
you
not
don't
going to do
want
it
you
pro
don't want to.
bono. You're not getting anything. You're not.
So they just looking for who recorded it, and
Yeah, that's suspect, and that's a great segue to what we're going to be talking about in the next segment. In the next segment, everybody knows that cheating is as old as. I mean, people
yeah.
have but it just seems now that um, it's almost anticipated or expected. So I'm just putting the question out there. Is it the new normal? Before we start talking about cheating, I am going to introduce the young man that I've been playing his music all evening, and I'm just going to tell you guys a little bit about him. I'm going to try to have him on the show. I know he's been really busy, and he does have his CD release party tomorrow. Tomorrow in Chicago. He does have it tomorrow evening, so I'm sure he's really busy because I really wanted to have him on the show. If you've ever listened to D'Angelo or Maxwell or Donny Hathaway, you know that every so often a musician comes up that has something special. Their unique sound and musicality is something that begs for more. Isaiah is in that league. His feel and style adapts to the music he's playing or singing. He can hear what the music needs and plays exactly that. Recently, he's played with Brian McKnight, John Mayer, Corinne Bailey Ray, Marvin Sapp, and Ronald Isley, to name a few. When I met him about 10 years ago, it was in a church. His confident style and unique sound surpassed his years. In his new CD, you get everything, all kind of influences, from Wes Montgomery, Jimi Hendrix, Curtis Mayfield, a cover from the Spinners, a nice stepping song, and the love songs. This CD has it all. I knew of his gift on the guitar, but had no idea that he had vocals like that. This next song that I'm going to play is one of my favorites, and it's called Lifetime. Take a listen. you've been there for me from the very start. We gotta fall ever love for ever love. We gotta fall ever love. We gotta love that will last a lifetime. Being with you completes me, just as God intended for our love to be. What we build will always remain something that will last for an eternity. It will last for eternity. We gotta fall ever love. We gotta fall ever love, 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 baby. We gotta fall ever love. We gotta love that will last for a lifetime. We gotta go forever love, and it's true. And you're listening to the Voices of Change only on Intellectual Radio and iHeart Station. And that was Isaiah Sharkey with Lifetime. Is that a beautiful song?
I think it's a great. I need to try to get this album.
Oh my gosh, it's everywhere. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it on iTunes. You can get it all the outlets. It's out. It's out there, and it's so diverse. It's just the musicality. It's just beautiful. And I picked Lifetime not just because it's my favorite song, but because of what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about infidelity and cheating for committed couples. And I think when people go into a relationship, their whole thing is to have it last a lifetime, and have it be something beautiful and have this friend and this mate or whatever for life. But oftentimes, different things happen and it may not end up that way. Or some people even recover from that. Or what the show's kind of about today is some people accept that as how the relationship will be. It's kind of accepted as a new norm. So we're gonna talk about, just to refresh people's memories. Not that everyone don't know somebody who's kind of stepped out, but we can just kind of go back and forth. We're gonna talk about some of the people that have had a few problems. We all know about Chris Rock. I knew he had one affair. I didn't know he cheated with 3 women, including a celebrity. I don't know who the celebrity was.
They speculate who the celebrity was, but
I didn't get a definite name, so I don't want to.
So no. Jay-Z allegedly cheated on Beyonce. So
you just kind of don't know, Lemonade or whatever in his CD.
Or his CD. Yeah, he gave more of an outlook on it.
Yeah, so mistakes. But then Tiger Woods, he was so dramatic. I mean, I could imagine her with that golf club. And ironically, he said during the lifespan of his marriage, over 120 women. That would just...
Like, he wasn't married that long, was he?
I don't know, but 120?
They had a few a night, at least.
Yikes.
At least. Eric Benet on Halle Berry.
Yeah, I really hated that. I thought they made a. Well, I know everybody says she's whatever, but I thought they made a beautiful couple.
Well, they are very
I thought they
nice
made.
looking people.
I just thought. Remember when he was getting engaged to her? It was some show, and he stood in the audience and sung to her. Oh, I just thought it was anyway. Whatever. Doesn't mean all that.
Hopeless romantic, huh?
Yeah, but all that don't mean jack. Okay.
Yeah.
Tony Parker, the NBA baller, he cheated on Eva Longoria. I remember when they were married for a brief time.
Yeah. Or Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, he's had issues.
That's big time.
Yeah,
we know that one.
He's like a serial. He's one of those serial cheaters. Heidi Klum cheated on Seal with her bodyguard, which I thought was interesting.
I did not know that.
But they're still friends, so that's good.
Yes, they have children together. I mean,
Yeah.
something to work with. Usher cheated on Chili, though.
I bet she happy about that.
Got out of that one.
Everybody knows about the maid and Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger.
That's insane. Like, I'm living in the house with this lady. Like, this lady is cleaning up for me. And then you didn't know?
But, as we're going to kind of touch on later, we're going to touch on, men, according to stats, women cheat at about the same rate as men do. But women cheat a little bit different. Oftentimes women cheat up. Men cheat with whatever's within their reach, so to speak. Yeah. So with him being with the maid was kind of, I guess,
she's right there.
Yeah.
Like, well, yeah, that'll work. Congress Anthony Weiner had a little texting problem sending off the pictures.
Oh my gosh. And his wife was Clinton's whatever. And and he kept doing it over and he just looked like a little weasel.
Yes, he looked exactly what his name.
I mean, not that looks had anything to do with it, but
no.
And Jesse Jackson, he unfortunately got caught up because the girl got pregnant. He has a child. She's a singer actually, and actually pretty. I've heard some of her stuff. It's pretty decent.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, Lamar Odom and Khloe Kardashian.
And they say Swiss Beats got a little issue with his.
I didn't know that
previous wife and apparently
Alicia.
his current wife. So I
didn't. I know that him and Alicia Keys had something doing the first marriage.
Yeah, and that's kind of where this is even kind of going, because it's really common for someone to be married and see someone else who they want, and they start a relationship even though the marriage hasn't. So anyway, also where we're at, we were
Kobe
at
Bryant
with the hotel.
Oh, that was big.
All I know is about the hotel girl. I think she was like a desk clerk or something, and I don't know what happened. And it
was Kobe Bryant. You're like,
yeah, he just
number 8. Lakers. Oh,
yeah,
she got.
Yeah,
And then, but the way he bought the wife that ring.
Yeah, well, that made it the new norm. No, I'm just joking.
She's like, oh, I ain't going nowhere.
And then she got pregnant.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
having another one right now.
Well, yeah.
I don't think they had that one yet.
Is that the only one he had, though? I mean, for him to, I don't know. Anyway.
Who knows?
Yeah.
No, he's a basketball player. Matthew Knowles, Beyonce's father, who was married to her mother for 30 years. His side piece outed him with a paternity suit. And he has a daughter. That little girl looks like them, though.
That was a shame. I know. But, it happens. And a man, you figure 30 years, he's probably 50. Sometimes that's when people want to step out and maintain that youth, and so that he was ripe for the picking. But as I said, cheating is nothing new. I'm going to go way, 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 way back to David. It was interesting because David was one of the remarkable men of the Old Testament. Now, everybody know David. He was capable. He was a musician. Even right today, women love musicians. And a beloved poet. They do. They really do. He excelled as a military leader and king, and he was a man after God's own heart. He was an exceptional religious leader, yet in spite of all these great traits and achievements, he had faults. Not the least of which was his shameful conduct with Bathsheba. And everybody know the story about Bathsheba when he saw her out there bathing and thought she was so beautiful and had an affair with her, and she got pregnant. And then her husband was in the war. He pulled the husband back so they could have one of those nice little visits. And the husband wouldn't do anything because he felt like he shouldn't be with his wife if his peers are out there fighting a battle. So because he he didn't do anything. They couldn't put the baby on him. So David had him killed. I mean, that's kind of the short story. So today it is contended that one may enter into an adulterous union, repent, and not be required to dissolve the arrangement. There's been all kind of things written on this, and it says, how long will it be before we can see that God recognizes the second union meaning with David and Bathsheba a long time ago. So if he recognized that, the logic is fall out of love and people fall in love with someone else and people have affairs, and it's recognized by God, so it should be accepted by man. Then I'm sure you've heard about this article, straight black men are the white people of black people. Have you heard that?
No.
It just confused me the title confused me so much.
Yeah, yes.
Straight black men are the white people of black people. But ultimately, part of it talks about black men having privilege, black straight men having privilege. Okay, black straight men with a job having privilege. Okay, follow me, because it took me a long time to get this. Through the lens of a cheater, if I'm straight, black, employed, and if I cheat, and if you bust me, and I cheat, and I'm okay cheating, and feel justified cheating because I owe it to myself, whether you may work, but I may have more assets or more income, you may think twice about leaving me. What they're basically saying is black women are at the bottom of the ladder. Well, women generally are always at lower steps on the ladder.
Mm-hmm.
And they're saying black women, even within our race, are at the lower end, particularly when you're talking about black men that are working. I think women in the workplace from way back in the 50s or whenever, I mean, women have always worked, but you saw influx in the 50s and 60s. I think that's one of the reasons why people have always cheated, but that's one of the reasons why the numbers have equalized with women and men. Because if I was married to someone in the 50s or 60s or whenever, and I had 5 kids and I didn't have any income, and he was a breadwinner and he was making all the money, if he betrayed me, I would be hurt and devastated, but I would look at those little faces and I would think, I don't know.
I'm about to stay here.
Right, I don't know. A woman told me, this woman was a politician's wife, upstanding sister. Her husband went out there, got a baby. And I'm like, I know that has to do something to your self-esteem. How do you feel about that? She basically said, the girl has his man parts, but I got his heart, mind, body, and soul. And I'm not going nowhere. So anyway, earring fell off on that one. Anyway, so just want to know, I don't know what people are thinking. I don't know if this is something that is just over talked about, if monogamy is something that is unrealistic. You've heard that before.
Yeah, I've heard that.
People have, because men are hunters. But men aren't the only hunters now.
No.
Because men are hunters. Men like the newness of it, finding someone new. It's all exciting. But women like that too. That's where the problem is. Now, who's really hurting this? When you have children, it's the kids.
It is. Because they have to see it and then they have to live through that.
And they have to deal with it, or have all these other siblings running around. And oftentimes it's the woman too, because what does it do to your self-esteem if your husband or your significant other is supposed to be committed is out there? And you know it.
Oh, well, in my book, I'll be like, well, I'm going to go and do me then. Come on. We both going to go out here then.
And that's what happens a lot of times.
You can't have fun and I don't. See, it's not going to work that way. But
I think generally people feel like if you're in a committed relationship, if you're saying it's committed, then if it's committed, then you shouldn't cheat. If you want to mess around, then you shouldn't be in a committed relationship.
No,
because you don't have to be.
Exactly.
You can just date and kick it. You can just.
Exactly. You don't have to be committed to one person. If you give yourself to that one person, then they're expecting you to be committed to them only. And then that's what I'm saying. If there's no reason to marry me, if you're gonna just step out on me.
That's why would you ruin,
don't waste my time.
And some men know that they're serial cheaters or know that they have this issue. So why would you get married and bring a family or blend a family or have babies and just wreak havoc with everybody when you didn't have to do that? You could have just whatever.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Exactly.
We are going to go to another song from you know who, Sharky. As soon as I can find it and cue it up. And this one is called Special Lady. That's cute. Special Lady. Somebody was trying to.
When we fuss and fighting, I can't get no sleep at night. Though even been away for so long, you seem to invade my mind. You can't tell me, I don't know why I just can't find my true happiness. If I can be real, I kinda miss what we made, baby. Oh, baby. You don't know how I feel. Could this love be fake or could it be real? Baby, you're just very special lady, very special lady, very special lady, very special lady. I love you, very special lady, very special lady. You are my very special lady, very special lady. Pretty mama, I could go with somebody else today. But that waste my time in my life. If I would give her some blame, baby, oh baby. You don't know how I feel. Could this be love? Can it be real? Maybe you're my very special lady, very special lady, very special lady. Very special lady, very special lady. I love you, very special lady. Very special lady. Oh, sugar, very special. I need you, baby. I can't live without my love. I can live without you in my life. Without your love, without you, I can't breathe, baby. I can my life, my love. Very special lady, very special lady, very special lady, very special lady, very special lady in my life, very special lady, very special lady, very special lady, you're so special, very special lady, you're so special, very special lady, very special lady, very special lady, without special lady, I can't breathe without your love, very special, special lady, very special. How can you say I love? Very special lady, I love. Very special lady, and I need. Very special lady, oh baby, very special lady. Oh, 'cause you're my very special lady, 'cause you're my very special lady, my lady, very special lady. Oh baby, you're my special lady.
Okay, I got a new name for what's going on with Mr. Sharky. I'm going to call it the Sharky effect. I'm going to call it the Sharky effect because we were in the studio talking, listening to that very special lady, that nice Steppers song. And someone said, you know what? He kind of sounds like Marvin Gaye and who else? And Prince.
A good mix.
A good mix. I'm going to call it the Sharky effect. Oh,
we
boy.
got to get him on.
We got to get him on. If you're listening, you have got to come on. No doubt about it. Okay, you're listening to the Voices of Change on Intellectual Radio, and we're talking about cheating Is it the new normal? Is cheating acceptable? Sad to say, but this has become the norm, and monogamy has been thrown out the window. It used to be frowned upon in society when someone cheated, but now we have it on television shows poke fun at it. Therapy sessions to help couples to pretend it never happened, and even articles and books that tell you how to do it without getting caught. We were just talking during the break about a show that many of us watch on HBO, Insecure.
Yes.
Let's talk about that for a minute.
So on the show, you have the one of the main characters, the best friend, who has an old childhood friend, and he's married. And he comes on to her in the club, and she's like, "Oh no, you're married."
And I went to your wedding. Yeah,
exactly. He's like, "Oh no, my wife and I are in an open relationship." So open relationships are giving you that out.
Monique, I think Monique, the comedian, I believe she's in an open relationship.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Yeah, it's just giving you that out to go and say, well, you go ahead and do what you want to do, but we're still committed to each other.
And he's doing what he wants to do, even on that show. But if his wife has to call, he drops whatever he does.
He drops everything.
Wife, right?
Yeah.
But he sees her at a designated point and act like that. And that's happening so often. Now the jump off is getting status. It used to be a time when the mistress was, she was a harlot. She was something. It was negative. Now it's not. They even got shows about jump offs. They got. I'm serious. Now it's there's some prestige in it almost, because they don't have to deal with the day-to-day grind. They don't have to deal with picking up washing his clothes,
doing everything else. You just get the luxury, and the wife does the rest.
You just get the luxury, and I need this paid. I need this. So,
and you take me to eat, and I leave you where you go.
Yeah.
It's like dropping your kids off to someone with no children. Like, oh well, you can take them back now.
Right.
It's like you can have them back. Like, well, thanks. I got what I needed.
That's exactly what it is. There's a young man on Facebook, and he has this blog, and this particular time when he did these things on cheating, I thought it was so right on the money. We can go back and forth reading them, but he talks about the people who are most likely to cheat, and he split them into 6 categories. The first one is a guy that makes a come up. Okay, so this guy was either working on his career, going to school, or the wife helped position him to do something, and it puts him in a better place. And in being a come up, it puts him in a different league. So he's attracting a new type of woman. And this kind of man is one who cheat.
Yeah. Or you can say a girl who's all about getting the money. Everything is about a check or a coin. Does not include career-driven women. But women who would do anything for the dollar, at least they are getting paid.
That's true. And I'm sure I know a lot of women.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's just all about the money.
Taking it for the money.
It's all about the money. They'll cheat. A guy that handles all his problems with the silence treatment. Okay. They say, well, he's a gentle giant. He don't like any confrontation. So he shuts down. He gives you the silent treatment, because when he gives you the silent treatment, oftentimes he's really checking out. So in his mind, if he go out there and meet somebody else, he feels like, he's actually free, because with him giving the silent treatment, that's kind of a break from the relationship. So he's justifying it by saying, well, I'm not really with her because
we ain't talking.
We having problems and we ain't talking.
Yeah.
He'll cheat.
Women who feel like she is being neglected. Emotional cheating. So your work friend or an old friend, through a small conversation, he becomes a go-to guy.
Oh, that's so true. A woman who's neglected, but she got this friend
that's giving her that attention that he's not, the other one's not.
Right. Because typically, not all the time, I don't want to. Typically, when men stay in your life for long periods of time, and they're always communicating with you, they're trying to find an open anyway. So yeah, that's somebody who may cheat.
That go-to guy is something deadly.
Yeah.
Men should pay attention. Like, hey.
But if you're being neglected, he's not paying attention. Takes a bunch of selfies. This one was, I'm not gonna say funny, but the guy that take a bunch of selfies and post them online. Selfie after selfie after selfie. Instagram, different poses of himself in the same clothes, the same outfit, in the same mirror. He says if he's not a model, if that has nothing to do with his career, but he just likes to look at himself. He further says if he's lusting for his own features, you don't have to worry about his sister because he probably likes other men.
Oh wow. Well, that took a turn.
I know. I'm just
That makes sense though. I mean, if
that took a turn. It did take a turn though.
a woman who was cheating on or getting cheated on third or fourth time after being cheated on. So, but women cheat up. Like she said, they don't cheat with the guy. They have been keeping their arms distant. So they keep that guy like, I'm gonna keep him on the hook.
Right, but not yeah.
Far away enough that I'm not, but I got you.
But close enough where I can, how you doing?
Call you, yeah, and you will respond. But when they are tired of the men who are treating them wrong, the other guy looks better, makes more money, and that's who she's with. While the man cheats, he's the one you can treat by convenience. He's convenient. He listens to what I say. He give me what I want when I ask for it. And I'm struggling with you over here and you cheating on me? Yeah, I'm going to my guy that I know that's gonna be there.
So this I thought this was some of it was kind of comical, but some of it was right on the money.
No,
some of
it's
it was
serious.
right on the money.
It's serious.
Derek Jakes, Jaxn. He's the one who actually had this, and he kind of talked about it. And I thought it was, it was a lot of it. I'd probably say 5 out of 6, or maybe 6 out of 6 was right on the money. Because think about it. Do you know any man who just selfies of himself in different poses?
No, not a straight man.
Yeah, I just never thought of it like that. And
unless he's a model, like he said.
Right,
but
if he's a model.
If you're not a model, no.
Yeah, that's
a little
same
suspect.
Picture. Now women do. Women take different poses, but men
I don't post all my poses. I select a certain pose.
The best one, of course. The best one, of course. But I guess the whole issue with cheating is not going to go away.
No, it's just.
I think the problem with it is that it's getting to the point where sometimes it feels like we're losing respect for each other.
Yeah.
You have that period of the honeymoon period where, oh my gosh, everything is good. Oh, I love you so much. I love you. And then what happens? Reality sits in.
Yeah. And then they get tired of you.
Yeah.
Or they didn't want to hear the argument, so they just go back to their old ways. They're not used to handling confrontation, handling an argument.
So what do you tell your cousin or your whoever when she's about to find Mr. Perfect? Do you forewarn her, or do you let her go on and figure it out herself?
I just tell her to go for what she wants, because you got to think about how you want to be treated. If you're okay with him stepping out and you both stepping out, all the glory. But if it's up to you, like a person like me, it's like, don't marry me, and then you embarrass me
because you bring me in your mess.
No, yeah. I don't want to be involved in anything like that. So for me, that'll be a statement that I need to stay with someone that I'm going far with. It's like, hey, we got to know. If you do it well and I don't catch you, hey, to each his own. We gonna stay together. But if I figure it out, that's embarrassing, because now you putting more flack on me, and then flag on this whole relationship, especially if we have children.
Oh gosh, yeah. And normally that kind of then you're pulling in a family in the mess,
and then that's nothing anyone wants to go through.
It's not
especially
not to say
child.
Not to say that anyone's perfect. Not to say that I'd go far enough to say that at anybody at the wrong time, if they're caught off guard, could possibly step out. Believe it or not, anybody, so you have to be on guard for that.
Yeah.
I think it's how people handle it, and if they're serial cheaters, and how they handle it, and how they treat the other person, all these things. And when they lack respect, it's just so many, because there's so many implications. It's not just cheating. Like you say, it's the kids, the family. What if they get a baby? What if they get a disease? What if something happens?
Yeah, and then you bringing that to me. I'd rather not.
What if they do a usher or whatever? Anyway, so, there's all kind of things.
It's hard. Like, what do you think about Kevin Hart? Because he cheated with his current wife.
Karma.
Exactly. It's like, well, the wife can't say, oh, I don't believe he did that, because you did it with him. So it's like, what does she think? What is she gonna do? Because you were in that same situation, but now it's done to you.
Yeah, yeah, and it's done really quick. I mean, they weren't married
They
that
weren't
long.
married a year.
And she's already stepped out. She gonna stay with that? I think what she'll probably do is have 2 kids and get a nice little settlement every month. She'll get tired of it.
Yeah, no, it's so she's a good one. She may stay because that's what she signed up for.
That is what she signed up for,
Because
though.
she knew from the beginning.
Yeah, because no one's all that.
No.
Well, I really appreciate. It's always good talking about different topics, and special thanks to the listeners, all of you that tuned in, and thank you so much for tuning in to the IntellectualRadio.com site. Appreciate you for doing that. I want to thank my co-host and thank Isaiah Sharkey with his Sharkey Effect. We really enjoyed listening and previewing some cuts from your CD.
Mm-hmm.
I want everyone to have a great week. We won't be in next week. We will be in the week after, the second week in October. So Voices of Change will be back the second week of October. We're going to close out with another song from Mr. Sharkey. And this one, let's see, what am I going to play this time? This one is called You, and it's only because I appreciate you, and you too. It's called You by Isaiah Sharkey. Have a great week, and remember, your attitude determines your altitude. Be blessed.
Yeah, I said shit. Fix yourself, bitch. Work it out. I like to think that I could be the man. One you can trust and understand. But you try to make it seem that life is what I do. It's like your friends who ran from you. I'm not out to please you. You're nobody's fool. There's no one to blame it all around you. But you, but you, but you. Ain't nobody to blame. But you, but you. Nobody but you, but you, but you. Yeah. But you, but you, but you. I tried to give some love and light to you. Here in the darkness of your doom. But you didn't tell me I'm your reason for straying. You can't deny your inner pain. You're the one who's stupid in this love you will lose. There's no one to blame it all around you. But you, but you, no one to blame you. But you, yeah, but you, ain't nobody to blame. But you, but you, oh, but you, yeah, but you, but you. I tried to get some love and like to But you, your inner pain. You can't deny you're the only reason for your pain. Nobody but you.